Hello, and welcome back to our fourth episode. Really excited about this one because we get to reflect back on some of those speakers we heard from.
This is also the end of our
First month.
chapter.
First chapter is a good way of putting
First
it.
chapter.
First life skill of motivation. So
Yep. Okay, so like always, we're gonna start off with our two truths and a lie. Go ahead. You can do it.
all right, yeah. Our true truths and a lie. So we are talking about holidays today in our true truths and a lie. So which one of these three holidays is neither of our favorites? So the three holidays we have are Thanksgiving, Halloween, and Christmas. So
Those are three major holidays.
yeah, three
so
major holidays. One of these is
them-
Yuli's favorite. One of them is my favorite. One of them is
is-
neither.
See if you guys can guess what it is. Just a little recap. We are talking about motivation. This month we had our three. All right. We had a sound issue for a second, so we are going back a little bit. So once again, this month our theme was motivation. We had ourselves just talking about some of the experiences we have, and then just a recap, we had our three kiddos. So
Dude, we're gonna have to record this another day.
okay, so we're having a sound issue. With some things going on in the background, so I'm just going to recap. So this month's theme is motivation. We had our first episode with just the two of us and our personal experiences, and then we had Liam, Tavo, and Lucas come join us, and we had Mr. Sinan come join us. So we're just kind of do a recap and kind of reflect on some of the things that they said and things that we've been thinking about between the last episodes and now that didn't kind of come up, and kind of what we took from everything.
Yeah. Just want to get into it. Do we want to talk about Scott first, or do we want to talk about the kids?
We could do Scott first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just that's the first.
So one thing that I thought was cool is that he brought up that no one motivation strategy is good for every single thing.
Yeah, I really.
Which
like
I thought about. Two is like when we work out, I definitely need people to be there. And I mean, I like having specific people around when I'm doing like projects or like cleaning and stuff, because I need like the productive people around me or who are helpful. But most of the time I want to do it by myself.
Yeah.
So most motivating would be like just kick everybody out of whatever situation I'm in. And I just like cleaning and organizing more because that like sets me up for like success, I feel like, if things are like organized and like set.
Yeah.
Whereas, I'd much rather eat a cheeseburger and not work out, but it is what it is. It's balance.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that's different for me. Like, not with the working out, I like to be with people, but I can't like sit down and just clean and organize like by myself. I can't do it. I don't know why. I don't like doing it. It's not a fun task for me, but it's something that needs to be done. So 90% of the time when I'm cleaning or something like that, I'll call somebody. Like, just because I want someone there.
Yeah,
Like,
I am recalling when you moved to Reno that you were like, hey, I need you to come over and help me pack.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even because you had a lot of stuff. It was just that.
It was literally just
You
because I
just
didn't want to do it.
yeah.
I wanted someone to keep me company, like something to
Yeah.
do. Especially like too when I'm doing homework or when we're like studying. I literally will come to the studio to do that
Just
because
no.
I can't do it at home because if I'm
Like
sitting up
too
in my
quiet
room,
or
it's too
video
quiet or
games
there's
or-
distractions, and I come here and it's just like I have somebody else. You're doing work. There's something
Someone's
going on.
being productive, which
Yeah.
means you have to be.
And yeah, it kind of
Which I
keeps me
get
on
that.
track.
I
Yeah.
get that with school and studying, because when I have to like sit down and do like the computer work, that's the part of the job I don't like. Like I love teaching and like being around kids and all that, but
Yeah,
sitting down to like send emails and process charges or
computer
account
work's
stuff
never
is
fun.
so boring.
It's never fun.
Yeah, and then one other thing I like that he said too, and this is a huge thing that if you don't know, that Mr. Sinan and I super bond with very strongly opinionated and cultured fathers who have pushed us in very different ways. And so I've known Scott almost my whole life. So we've had lots of talks about, just realizing that our dads are culturally different than Americans or, whatever, and they grew up in different countries and different eras. And I just thought it was funny that I had never heard that story of his dad making him wait 6 months
Yeah.
until he had to do it. Whereas my dad tried to get me to do like boxing and stuff when I was like 2 or 3, and I like wasn't about it. And so when I signed up at 6, he was like so excited, and I was like, and I think our dads too motivate us probably in a different way than other people's dads do. Whereas
That's,
like
a lot
your
different than
like I
my
feel
dad.
like
Yeah, that's what I
like
was
your
gonna
dad
bring
is
up.
like
Yeah.
motivating, cheerful, like you can do it, go for it. Whereas like our dad's like, I bet you can't do it. Bet you like, oh, you couldn't do that, or
Yeah.
you know, like
You guys
almost
got
like a negative motivation. But that, like, now if people challenge me or try to tell me I can't
Mhm.
do something, whether I'm a girl, whether it's my age, whatever, I'm like, oh, let
Watch
me
me.
prove,
Watch
let
me.
me prove you
Yeah.
wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting too, like thinking that like you kind of got thrown into all that stuff like as a kid, and he was just like, do it, do it, do it. Whereas like my dad was very like he let me like he put me into some sports, but he kind of let me choose the sports I wanted to do. Like I played t-ball for one little short thing, didn't like it, was like and he was fine with that. He didn't like force that on me. But one thing that he instilled into me, which I still use to this day, is if I start something, I'm finishing it through.
Yeah.
And that's becoming really like relevant in my life right now because I'm changing. For those of you who don't know, I'm changing my career path. So I know on the first episode I talked about how I was going to be an EMT and a firefighter, and I was studying for that. But I've actually
his mom and I and
Yes.
family have encouraged him to finish because he's so close.
yes.
But also,
Yeah, so I'm now changing. I'm going back to school to be a teacher. So I'm going back to get my degree and become a teacher. But one of the things that I was saying is I was like, I don't even care about like my EMT class anymore. Like, what's the point? I'm not going to use it. But then I always have to I have to remember what my dad told me. Like, I started this, I paid for it. Like, this is money I put in, and this is also like a commitment I made. And
we're gonna giggle. It'll come up later.
yeah, but so yeah, like this is something I did, so I'm finishing it, and now I'm working really hard to pass this class. Even though, does this class matter for my future? No, it doesn't carry really any credits towards my degree, but it's something I committed, and I made that. So now I'm motivated to finish. I've been here studying every day, like getting ready for my finals. So I think like that was the motivating factor that my dad gave me. Is it was like, if you start something, you're finishing it, whether you want to do it or not. Like, you made that commitment, you have to finish it.
And I think it's funny too. So I was talking to other people about like who motivate them, and like every week or so, a friend of mine, Ange, will send me a motivating video that she's watched, and then we kind of like bump them off each other. Like, oh, I watched a good one, you should watch it. And then I always share them with like our instructors and like family members and stuff. And Jessica was laughing because I have two very different motivating speakers that I love listening to, and they're very, very different. And I think it almost kind of like shows too like the male figures I had in my life and the way that they are presented. So the two are, that literally just came to my head. But it makes sense though, because like, so I love Steve Harvey, if you know who that is. Some children will not. But I love Steve Harvey. I love everything about him. I love Family Feud. I'm like an old lady. So I feel like that almost represents like the Scott side of mentoring and like because he's definitely like powerful, yet like softer in a sense. Like he doesn't like come at you.
Yeah.
Whereas if you know who Eric Thomas is, Eric Thomas straight yells with like super strong passion. And so when I listen to people are always like, why are you listening to someone yelling at you? Which I think is funny because that also motivates me in a different way, but I feel like that would represent my dad.
Your dad, yeah.
So like the two male figures that I've had in my life for a really long time are still carried into who I go to listen to.
Yeah. I think big,
they're polar opposites too.
Yeah.
How they talk.
I think that's a big thing. Like you go back to like things when you're young.
Yeah.
Like it reminds you of something, and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, you'll find like a comfort in that because that's what you know.
Yeah. And there's some days where one works more than the other, and some days, like, if I'm, like, laying in bed and, like, I've been laying in bed for an hour, like, I need to get up, then I'm putting on Eric Thomas, who's going to yell at me and be like, get out of bed. Whereas, like, if I'm on my morning commute and I just need to kill some time and I've had my coffee and I'm going to listen to Steve Harvey and listen about, like, whatever he's gone through in life. So it's really funny that
That's really interesting, yeah.
Yeah, super crazy. Okay, well, speaking of that and going back to kids, let's just recap on the kids. So I thought Liam was pretty funny. I think his
Liam's
overall, like, basically it's just your energy. You have to bring the energy to class and, like, be the loudest,
Just a reminder for the people, too, who Liam was. Liam was...
our blue advanced belt.
Yes.
Who has Down syndrome. So it's just funny, too, like, that's just his, like... just come,
That's just his
be the loudest.
I was literally teaching him in class yesterday, and
I was doing CPR in the back,
and you could hear him.
And I could hear him, and I told
Yeah.
I told Mr. Markey, who is our CPR instructor, who's an old teacher of ours. I was like, oh yeah, that's Liam, and so we were giggling about it.
Yeah,
He's just always the loudest. Doesn't matter what's happening.
What was great about with Liam last class too was we had to do a combined class. We had a little bit of scheduling issues, but so there was a teen class there was a black belt in there. There was a white belt, but they were all bigger and like teens are scary to little like intermediates, especially when they're doing class with them. And he did not care. He was yelling, "Be louder!" Like, "Key up!" Yes, like as loud as he could. Like even like towards like Joe would be quiet or something. He'd be like, "Come on, be louder!" And like that's the black belt that was in the class. Like he doesn't care who you are. He's like gonna motivate you and pump you up.
Yeah,
and I was like,
super
I
cool.
thought that was awesome because a lot of the kids were kind of like scary big kids, whereas like he was like, I don't care, I'm gonna be me.
Well, I feel like he's comfortable too with the facility and the people, and just knows that like when he walks in, like this is his home. And,
yeah,
definitely. Type deal. So I thought that was cool. Okay, so Tavo was our next one. He's our little guy that was on. He is so funny because he's so loud and talks nonstop.
But he was so nervous.
He was so nervous for that. And we did have to do some re-recording, so it was a little iffy, but it's fine.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool about him was it wasn't that he brings the energy, it's that his is that 90-10 where 90% of it is showing up and 10% is your attitude. And so his mom has set it in him because she put money on it.
She put money on it.
She put money on it.
All right, I'm going to cut in here really quick just because, as you can see, like we're laughing about something that has never been in the podcast. It was never in any of the episodes. That is because Tavo was the last kid who talked, and his videos cut out the most, and we could only get that little end recording. But basically what we're laughing about is we're saying, like, Mom put money on it, because when he was talking about his motivation, the only thing that could come to mind, like, during the main videos was literally, like, oh, my mom paid for Taekwondo. Like, Mom put money on it, Mom put money on it. And he kept saying that over and over again. And so it was just super funny to see that, like, even at such a young age, like, he realizes, like, oh, my mom put money on this. Like, my mom's working hard to pay for this. Like, that's his motivation to continue to go. But that's why we're going to reference that throughout this video. But if you hear that, that's basically what we're meaning is just, like, you know, Mom put money on it. That's what he was saying, which is really funny.
Has set, like, instilled it in him that, like, you have to go and there's no option. Didn't matter what we asked him. He was like, no, you gotta go. I just have to go. Doesn't matter if I'm tired. I gotta go.
And I think that was like that's kind of what I was talking about too with like my dad and how he motivated me. It was very similar. It was like we started this like when it came to sports, like my dad paid for it, kind of just like he said, like Mom put money on it. Like
so funny.
You show up and it doesn't matter. Like there's no other option as long as you set that in your mind that there is no other option.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
He's 8 years old. He's little, and his little sisters, him and his sisters never miss a practice. Even if Mom's working or whatever, they're always here. So
I always set that like with myself too, because I am not a morning person. But for the last how long? 3 years I've been working a job that requires me to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I hate it. But
you love the job.
But I love the job. I hate the waking up. Yeah. But I wake up every morning. I'm like, man, what if I just like called in sick today? But then I think that's not an option. Like,
I think about that too, and especially because for the backstory too, is the job he has right now at 6 a.m. was my old job. So my old boss had called and was like, do you know it's being a one-on-one aide in elementary school. And so had called me and was like, do you know any outstanding, adults that could help out and be a good role model? And I said, yeah, this guy. But I definitely remember that, like, just like, it's 6 a.m. I don't want to get up. I don't want to go. And then you start going, if I don't go, that kid has a stranger. If I don't go, my boss has to figure out someone, and we're already low staffed.
Yeah.
If, all those kids who look forward to seeing you every day, and then you're like,
that's what I was thinking about.
And
too.
There's a paycheck.
Yeah.
Okay,
like,
I gotta go.
I was talking to my mom the other day about like classes and what I'm gonna do, and I was talking about both of my jobs, and I was like, well, I can't leave Grant. I was like, that's not an option. I can't leave Taekwondo. That's not an option. And she was like, why are neither of those options? I was like, I can't do that to the kids. I was like, because if I leave at Grant, I was like, those kids already went without help for like a couple of months before I started. I was like, I can't do that to them. So I was like, that is part of my motivation for being there. One,
at least finish the school year.
Yeah.
Give them a chance.
One, I love it, but two, also like there's no chance I could leave in the middle of a year like to those. There's no chance I want to show up every day because I want to be there to like help them.
I did.
What?
I said
You left in the
I
middle of the
left
year.
in the middle of the year, but I told
But
the
you were there
principal.
for a while too.
Yeah, I was there for a
Yeah.
while, and I told the principal that I didn't want to work the new year, and she encouraged me to try half the year. She's like, just get us through the holidays, and then we'll find someone to like
Mhm.
find your position, fill your position by then. I think she was hoping that I would finish out the year, but it got too much. I moved, and it was a lot, so I just didn't want to be gone all the time. Okay, that brings us to our next.
Lucas, no,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I'm saying that brings us
bring us
to
to
our
our
next
next kid. I was
next-
like, we're not done.
Abrupt. We're going to the next one.
Lucas, it's no time. No, I'm just kidding.
Lucas was our last speaker of the kid episode. Very quiet. That's probably the most I've ever heard him talk ever.
Yeah, he's a super quiet kid.
Super quiet kid, which I thought was super cool to see his point of view, that it's already instilled in him to be self-motivated. He doesn't want to let himself down. He doesn't, he sets goals for himself, and that's important, which I feel like for me personally, I'm the first person I'm going to let down half the time. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need to go do certain things, or I don't need to work out, or I don't need whatever. But if someone is there holding me accountable, then I don't want to let them down. But for me, I'm
the
like,
same way.
no thanks. So I thought that was super cool and like admirable that like
Yeah.
this 12-year-old is already ready to.
He's already
got
got
it.
that point where he won't let himself down.
Yeah.
Which whereas for me and you, it's the same thing. It's like both of us can just sit there and be like, I'm not gonna work out today. I'm gonna do this instead.
And we can talk each other out of it.
Yeah,
Like, hey,
and then
are you sure?
exactly.
Are you
But then you get Duffy in our workout group chat, and he's like, wow,
sad. Yeah,
all
once
sad
he
because
gets
he wants to
sad,
get
and then
going.
we're
Yeah.
like, which is funny because like for some of us it's the workout, for some of it's the social aspect of it too.
Yeah.
And I think like we see each other all the time, so it's like not that I don't want to see you and hang out and like work out,
But it's
but like Duffy works a whole different job and Blaine works a different job.
and
so
usually
like,
when we don't work out, we're in the
we're
office
still
doing
together.
our
Yeah,
work.
we're they're like, oh, we want to see you guys too, and we're like, oh yeah, we want to see you too, but I don't really want to work out.
Yeah.
So let's talk each other into something else. But
Yeah.
yeah, I thought it was super cool that he just naturally, that just was his answer every single time. It was cool too that all three kids
Had a different
strategy.
Yeah, and I think that's really important with motivation because there's no cookie cutter way of motivating yourself or motivating others because and you'll find that if you ever work with kids or if you're ever working with just people in general, like different motivation strategies. Like one kid you'll be like, come on, keep going, and they want to go, and then another kid you go, come on, keep going, and they collapse their body and you go like, all right, you can do it, like let's go. And it's just finding that line where you can do that for everybody and help motivate everybody, and it's like everybody's so different.
I just had a thought and I lost it based on what you were saying. I was thinking too, like, so with our friend groups, we talk about what we're doing in life and what your goals are, and like we just throw it into random conversation. I think it's funny too that you say that like working with kids or people, because Duffy had brought up too that he has two guys that he works with.
Yeah.
And he says that the way you motivate each one is different, so he has to kind of watch what he says and does around both guys, because otherwise it could be a weird day.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was cool.
That,
Adults, kids, anyone can be.
It literally is every aspect.
And it depends on the thing too, of what you're trying to motivate them about. Because like, I feel like if you were to come to me and say, "Oh, you can't paint this wall in 30 minutes," I'd be like, "Watch me." But if you're like, "Oh, you can't lose 30 pounds in so much time," I'd be like,
"You're right, I can't."
And I don't want to try.
Yeah.
I just want to eat cheeseburgers, and it's not cheeseburgers. I want to eat tacos.
Tacos and Dutch.
Yep. All right. So I think that was a good wrap up for the most part.
Definitely.
We have a fun little video to add to the end of this, so
this will be fun.
Take a look. See, we're gonna try to come up with something fun and new to add to the last one every month.
Each month, and we probably won't be recording until all of these episodes are out. Like our next recording.
Yeah,
so
we're gonna take the holidays off and hang out.
So we'll have some time though. That means we'll have some time to go through some comments or some Instagram DMs. So if you have questions or anything you want to add, let us know, and hopefully in next month we can maybe address some of those questions if we have any big ones before the start of our next episode.
This is also the first time we're recording since we went on Spotify.
Yes.
So just know you don't always have to watch the video or BuzzFeed it or
Buzzsprout.
Why do I say BuzzFeed?
Yeah, it's on Spotify.
You can go on Spotify now too.
Yep.
So check that out.
I'm working on getting us onto Apple Podcasts as well, but Apple Podcasts is it's a it's a difficult one. They are a lot more exclusive on what they let on, so you have to like go through like a 2-week waiting process and submit all this paperwork. But
And merch is
merch
on the way.
Merch
Merch is
yes.
on the way. So if
We
anyone
just came up
wants
with a logo,
to
so
message us and pre-order anything, not pre-order, but at least give us an idea of what things you would want.
yeah, let us know what you want. Do you want hats? Do you want beanies? Do you want sweatshirts? Do
We're
you
in
want shirts?
We're in a hat beanie dilemma right now.
I want hats.
I want beanies, but we'll most likely go for both because you got to have your winter hat and your summer hat.
Exactly.
Duh. Okay, so we're gonna end with our 2 truths and a lie answer.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So just to recap, our favorite holidays are Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Halloween. I don't know if that was the order. Thanksgiving,
That's
Halloween,
fine.
Christmas, whatever. So my favorite holiday is Thanksgiving because me and my husband host every year, and then 2 days later we do a Friendsgiving. So it's just super fun. I get to decorate my house and pull out all the fun stuff. It's always a good time.
Yeah. My favorite holiday is Christmas, and part of it is because my house, we do crazy decorations every year and go all out. I think we're the best house in Petaluma, but
Probably Sonoma County.
yeah, probably Sonoma County. I mean, we're pretty cool, and I just think it's super fun. Even though I don't like putting up the lights, I like when the lights are there, and I like the joy that it brings people. We also have Santa, who comes and sits out on weekends, and it's always cool to see the kids all excited to run up and all that. So I just love all that part.
It's not that we don't like Halloween because we both go pretty hard for the kids. But it is definitely it's definitely a kid holiday for sure. Where we I don't get excited to dress up, but I get excited to see their faces and whatever I'm gonna dress up in.
My Halloween costume this last year was literally thrown together the day before Halloween.
They were all mine.
No, I didn't.
Oh, your work ones.
No, the one when I was in Reno, I literally put on a yellow shirt.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, I threw together a costume.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, we swap Halloween costumes left and right.
Yeah.
And it's fun, but it's definitely just not my vibe.
Not your jam.
No, I want to eat like real food, not candy. I want to eat like
candy's great.
Turkey and I don't even care for turkey, but mashed potatoes.
I like the ham of Christmas. Christmas ham.
Mm-hmm. Good choice. So, all right. Until next time.
Have a great New Year and
live your best life.
If I make this, I get to decide on all merch.
If I make this, I get to decide on all merch.
Okay. Beanies.
Oh! It's gonna be hats again. Oh.
Okay. If I make this, you have to purchase all merch.
If I make this, you have to do all of next month's editing.
Thank the Lord.
Why am I always off on that one?
If you make this, or if I make this, if I make this, you have to take down all the decorations in the studio by yourself. If I make this, if I make this, I get to pick all the guests for next month.
Ooh.
Thought about it.
It did. If I make this, you have to buy Dutch every time we record an episode. Just
If I record this. If I make this, you have to buy the next 3 sushi meals.
Ooh, that's not cheap.
The next podcast you have to do in a tutu.
The next podcast I have to do in a tutu. Let's go!
The next podcast, I will be dressed as Santa Claus.
No way, the next podcast you're joining me in that tutu.
No tutu for me. All merch is pink.
Ooh. If I make this, we stop recording our podcast.
If I make this, we have to go back to studying.
Ooh. Good. If I make this is our last 2. Let's see, this has got to be a good one. You have to record the next podcast wearing whatever I choose.
Okay.
You're joining me in something. know.
Okay. If I make this, all bets are off.
All right.
None of them count.
Next podcast is gonna be a doozy.
All right, until next time, guys.
Live your best life.